The supervolcano Campi Flegrei in Naples in Italy. Guys, I'm scared. I'm very worried about the people in Italy right now, in Pozzuoli, especially around the red zone of the volcano. You know, it started out with a magnitude 4.7 magnitude. That is volcanic. This is not tectonic. This is what the volcano is doing. But since then, we had several high tremors, magnitude 3.8. So first earthquake was in the evening hours, but then it's going on through the night. And guys, I've just been taking a break of 1 hour, doing some research for this video, but haven't looked at the earthquake list. And I just looked at the earthquake list again, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, guys, really? Let's have a look at this earthquake list first. And I have new videos and images from the damages that happened. Homes collapsed, landslides, big boulders, rocks coming down, dust everywhere, red skies. It's a disaster unfolding there. And it was very, very strong. People have anxiety. They're afraid. I will show you comments. People are saying help wasn't coming. We're alone. Where do we go? Our house is uninhabitable. So it's unprecedented what has happened. I've been covering Campi Flegrei for a few years now, but it has never happened like this, guys. I'm scared about this volcano in light of all the studies that I have reported about. All the studies that gave a warning that we could see a phreatic eruption without a warning, that we could see even more. And we do have an interview of volcanologist Giuseppe De Natale. He's worked for the INGV, high position. He's been warning for years. And he has given an interview, and what he is saying, I'm just giving you the headline: we must prepare for any scenario at Campi Flegrei. Serious interview, we'll talk about that, but let's discuss the latest earthquake list before we talk about the damages, people injured, people in the hospital, critical condition. All that is happening as we speak. We've had large power outages, trains stopped. It's catastrophic right now. But guys, look at these earthquakes. There's so many in this list. The INGV doesn't even show the smaller ones. So we'll probably have 3 to 4 times more than the ones that you see there. But I'm scrolling through that list, and the larger ones are highlighted in gray. But last time I had like 4.7 and a 3.8 and then some, and I'm like, what? Did they downgrade some earthquakes? What's going on here? So we have 1:33 a.m. right now in Italy, and I'm like, okay, there's a it's just been upgraded, another 2.5 at 1:35. Guys, they keep coming. And what is so unusual, and you'll see that when we look through the list, they don't even fit on one page anymore. The magnitudes, how high they are, guys, this is blowing me away. So we just had a 2.5, but I was looking, where's the 4.7? That was just here when I stopped. 3.1, I'm scrolling down, 2.0, 1.5, 3.1. Another one, where's the 3.8? Did they downgrade that to 3.1? 2.7, I'm scrolling. I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? There is the 3.8. So that means they're new ones. 10 p.m. and look at how they're coming basically every minute through the night. But where is the 4.7? We have to go back to the other page. There's the 4.7. And guys, I want to make that clear. I mean, this has already been, there has been something going on the 28th. And then on the 30th, 1.2, 2.3, then Vesuvius, 2.1. I mean, Vesuvius is just across from Campi Flegrei. Highly, highly dangerous. And I just learned that there's a new study. This can happen, and this can escalate so fast that Vesuvius erupts that you have no warning time. This is crazy because with Campi Flegrei, they're saying the same. But it started July 31st with a 1.7 and then the 4.7, so almost without warning. And then the aftershocks, hopefully aftershocks, they kept coming. But I tell you what the Minister of Civil Defense has said last year. If we have 5.0, we will count the dead, hundreds of thousands. It will be catastrophic, has caused big outcry. Oh, you can say that, and tourism and property values. These old masonry homes, it's going to be a disaster. So 4.7, guys, and then look how they kept coming during the early evening, 2.9, and then I have to go to the second side. They kept coming, 3.8, 10 p.m. This is huge, another big one. And then they keep coming close to the magnitude 2 range. Guys, this is a volcano. If you're not familiar with this, don't compare it. Oh, we have that in California, magnitude 4, that's nothing, or in Japan. No, 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 no. This is the volcano that is doing something. The 4.7 was right underneath the Solfatara, that crater where we expect Shizzy to hit the fizzy, a volcanic eruption in the red zone with at least 150,000 people in the direct affected area because they live on the volcano. But look at that list. This is absolutely frightening, guys. It is frightening. We did have a swarm like this, but last year, but not like this, guys. This is huge. This is huge, and it doesn't seem to stop. The 4.7 is the largest earthquake ever recorded since the last eruption, Monte Nuovo in 1538. I'm sometimes missing words here because it is so crazy. This shows you the epicenter, guys. Let me scroll down here. This is the Solfatara area here. This is the crater, and this is right in Pozzuoli. And we already hear that evacuation routes are blocked. There's a parked car. So if Shizzy were to hit the fizzy. But let's get to the news. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I don't know if they will now increase the alert level from dark yellow to light orange. So damage. 2 injuries, at least 21 people have been injured, 2 of whom in critical condition. I'm reading you the latest. Extensive damage has been reported in the Pozzuoli and Bagnoli areas, and the entire emergency response chain has been alerted after this magnitude 4.7. It is the strongest tremor ever recorded in the volcanic caldera since it was first monitored. It caused anxiety in Naples, greater Naples area, more than 6 million people. Brady seismic phenomenon, this is what they call it officially, but it is a volcanic crisis. This is what it is. Collapses occurred in Pozzuoli and in the Bagnoli neighborhood. Damaged buildings has caused the collapse of an archaeological site. That is history lost. Widespread panic in Pozzuoli Quarto and this time even more remote areas such as Giuliano and Quagliano. So Operations Center at the prefecture has been convened. Firefighters are out at work. Local and national civil protection has been mobilized. The 2 injured people have been hospitalized with red coat, they say, one with orange coat, so in more critical condition. Also, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is following the situation from the crisis unit together with Civil Defense Minister Nello Musumeci, who said if we see magnitude 5, which can happen, it's possible with this volcano, the earthquake will already end a lot of people. Swarm continues, right? Forcefully, with a loud war, all these earthquakes, shallow, they give another push, another shaking to these already damaged buildings. At least 30 families evacuated right now. Buildings have collapsed on Via Pergolesi and Via San Vitaliano in the municipality of Pozzuoli. That's the hardest hit. Hopefully these were both uninhabited. Firefighters are there carrying out required checks on other buildings. They have a waiting area in the former NATO base in Bagnoli, and a reception area on Via Terracina has been activated. A shelter in Pozzuoli has been set up. Firefighters are evacuating more people from their homes. They're carrying out structural checks. Electricity situation, over 100,000 households were disconnected. Transport situation, trains were halted in the tunnels that basically go right underneath the volcano. Port of Pozzuoli will remain closed. Ferry connections to and to the port, to the islands of Procida and Ischia have been blocked. Central Tyrrhenian Sea Port Authority is preparing an ordinance to close off the state-owned maritime areas beneath the rocky cliffs. This is crazy. They have a concert that has been canceled. But guys, let's have a look at this interview from volcanologist Giuseppe Di Natale. This has the headline, "We must prepare for any scenario at Campi Flegrei." He just said to the press, we're rolling the dice. Guys, rolling the dice, you know what that means. He said, we need to prepare the area for all possible events, including a potential eruption. This is what he says. And he has been saying this, I'm upset about this, for years. But for like tourism and investment and whatever, no, let's keep it down so that nothing is hurt. He has been speaking out and for quite a while. So we know this 4.7, people are terrified, and I am, guys, I am. The emotional situation, probably of you who are watching, of me, but imagine the people that are down there in Pozzuoli and the surrounding areas, is particularly dire. This is what we're hearing from local news in the comments. In the comments, I'm showing you a few comments behind while we talk about this. Many have fled their homes, preferring to spend the night outside in their cars. Tremor of this magnitude has never been recorded before, and the damage assessment also is still ongoing. Professor Giuseppe Di Natale, he's a volcanologist and research director at the INGV. They're the ones that monitor this supervolcano 24/7. He spoke to the press about the situation, and he explains that, and he always says that he's not expressing the opinion of the institute, but is speaking in a personal capacity and based on his scientific knowledge to describe what is happening at the Flegrei fields. Read between the lines what this means. Official statement is different from what he's saying. The officials are still, this is the Brady seism. They don't call it volcanic crisis. This is normal. This is the land rising, la 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 blah blah blah. But guys, I'm concerned. I'm really, really concerned. New seismic swarm, he says, and new strong tremor still happening. In the local reports, they say it's an ongoing tremor. It's ongoing. So the 7:46 p.m. earthquake was located in the Solfatara area. That crater, the strongest ever recorded in Campi Flegrei. This is nothing new that we have earthquakes there, but is a simple confirmation that the volcanic process underway in the Campi Flegrei that began in the 1950s with only ground uplift. The seismic activity began 1970 and is, the words they're using, continually escalating as evidenced by the ever increasing ground uplift that is ever increasing since 2005. So if something's swelling it up, that means something's coming up from deep below. And if we have a supervolcano, that is quite concerning, guys. So this process, all the unrest, it has been evolving for 76 years. So entirely similar, and this will alert you now, to the one that was beginning in 1430 and culminated with the eruption of Monte Nuovo in 1538. Although these two episodes of uplift and seismicity are the only ones that have occurred in the last 3,000 years, it's not possible to be certain that the current episode will also culminate in an eruption, of course. But it is certainly strange that, unlike in the 1970 and the unrest in 1984, when the governments of the time implemented significant measures, including partial and total evacuations of Pozzuoli in 1984, by the way, totally or nothing or little to nothing since then has been done to safeguard the population that has now for over 3 years with these magnitude 4+ earthquakes has been living with the nightmare of increasingly stronger earthquakes. And what he also criticizes is that life in the area continues like normal in the meantime. Yes, in the most at-risk areas, work is underway for major events, which, along with the closure of several railway and metro lines due to bradyseism, and the gas releases from the volcano have disrupted traffic, turning these areas into veritable traps, even as people ask about escape routes, assembly areas, and evacuations. These major events, he says, moreover, represent powerful attractors for further increasing the population of these areas and thus the risk. Yeah, he's criticizing. They're still developing this, right? One should ask, under such conditions, what would happen if during one of the major planned events, concerts, tourism activities, sailing competitions, an earthquake like today's or stronger were to cause panic among participants. The authorities repeat the mantras that it's always been that way, this is normal for bradyseism. And he says this is absolutely false, because after the 1538 eruption, for 412 years, or let's say it has been quiet, and 412 years passed before another uplift episode was seen. So this uplift means something. This is not a normal state for the volcano. And then he says, and then another 20 years before local earthquakes were felt again. Initially in 1970 of very low magnitude, then increasingly stronger in subsequent episodes. And we're watching this in the last 3 years. And right now you see cracked ground. This earthquake has cracked the ground open, collapses all over the Campi Flegrei area. And he says, quote, "In such a situation, I find it absolutely paradoxical that many people cannot know whether their homes will be able to withstand the next tremor, and many schools send their students out after every tremor because evidently it is unknown whether the school building can withstand the maximum expected earthquakes with an estimated magnitude slightly above magnitude 5. Remember what the minister said about magnitude 5, what that would do to Naples. And in previous videos, I've reported about statements of structural engineers that have lived through a strong earthquake in Naples. That said, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of people over and out. Buildings will collapse. It will be absolute chaos. So how can you evacuate through narrow streets like this? If that already causes the chaos, the earthquake, then imagine the volcanic eruption. So I want to go back to De Natale, he says. He mentioned magnitude 5. He thinks this is possible, right? So he says, meanwhile, in the press and on social media, we read opinions that speak of decreased thrust, very mild seismicity, possible cessation of the phenomenon, as if we were able to predict the volcano's behavior from small variations in an overall trend that is clearly increasing. Guys, listen to what he says. I'm upset about this. Sorry, you know me. I'm upset. Get help for these people. Get money. Relocate. You have to relocate whole families because they're not leaving without grandmother and auntie and whatever. You need to buy them homes in a safe area, and you need to get money in the country. That is my opinion. Did you really understand what he says? I'm posting this here so that you can read it again. You can pause it and read it again. So he was asked, what should we expect now? He says, the truth is that we're rolling the dice. It's impossible to predict with certainty what will happen in terms of earthquakes or possible eruptions. But we're confident that, aside from the ongoing seismic activity to which we're now becoming accustomed, nothing truly serious will happen. I believe it's time, and we're already far behind schedule to prepare the region for all possible events. So what he's saying is, we're like feeling like, now earthquake, but nothing will happen. And he's warning about this. Don't feel safe. Again, he says, I believe it's time, and we're already far behind schedule to prepare the region for all possible events. He's talking about a volcanic eruption, and he says that, including a potential eruption, the probability of which, he says, while low in the short term, he says in brackets, all catastrophic events are by definition unlikely. Read between the lines. And he says, is by no means negligible. So he says the probability of a potential eruption is by no means negligible. Guys, this is alarming. This is absolutely alarming. I will keep you updated with another follow-up video, and check out my first video if you like. I have a playlist about Campi Flegrei where you can see all the studies that said in 1, 2, 3 years, we will see not a linear, we will see an escalated escalation. They're telling us this thing can blow at any time if it's phreatic, White Island style, but bigger. And guys, before the Monte Nuovo eruption, before it became magmatic, there was a phreatic eruption. So let's pray and hope for the people in Italy, because they're not very rich in that area. It's not that they can say, I'll leave my home, nobody will buy it right now. Of course not. And I just buy something else. They can't, or rent somewhere else. Stay safe, guys. Bye-bye.